So as I walked up, Miss Luckett greeted me, and we were trying to figure out the last time I had the privilege of being here. She said 20 years. I choose to not believe it was that long ago. So I'm going to say, Amelia, not too long ago. That's what I'm going to say. Just not too long ago. Then she asked how my 22-year-old was, and I think she said, how's your baby? So then now you see that we both have lost complete track of all sense of time, and we're both confused. Good morning. Welcome to the great city of Inglewood that needs to do some work on their child care planning, I just learned. But we're going to get right on that. So I'm Supervisor Holly Mitchell, proudly representing the 2nd Supervisorial District. Glad that you all are here. And I'm honored today to be here at a press conference where we're going to talk about the county's Child Care Providers Recovery Grant right here at Ms. Luckett's amazing facility. And so I want to take a moment to thank a number of people, again, Ms. Luckett from the Hart Preschool and Enrichment Center for being our gracious host. I appreciate you. You'll hear from Ms. Luckett. You'll hear from the fearless leader of Crystal Stairs. I'll have the privilege of introducing her. I also want to thank the LA County Development Authority as the lead county department behind getting these critical funds into the hands of our child care providers. There's nothing more frustrating that we stand up a program, we make resources available, and then we can't get the money out the door into the hands of the people who need it most as quickly as possible. But I have every faith, based on the track record, my short experience here, that the Development Authority will do just that, and I appreciate you. So today, we're here to talk about a topic that's not only close to my heart as a single working mom, but for families and probably most of us here today, and that's the necessity of affordable, accessible, quality child care. And for families who need child care, finding the right option that best fits every need, the need of their child, the need of their family, is really important. Ultimately, all parents and guardians can agree that their child care needs to be safe, affordable, high quality, and reliable. Before serving in public office, I had the privilege of leading Crystal Stairs, the largest nonprofit child development organization in the state, and I saw firsthand how countless numbers of families relied on child care and how this vital service wasn't always accessible to all. Inequitable access to child care, quite frankly, has only gotten worse as a result of the pandemic. Many providers were forced to close their facilities for a variety of reasons. Some of these closures were temporary, while other closures were permanent. It's estimated that during the first year of COVID, LA County lost over 1,800 licensed child care providers. 1,800 lost in a county where we didn't have enough to begin with. So that has been devastating to the industry and to families who rely on them. We cannot go back to business as usual, which is why we fought to make sure that our American Rescue Plan dollars, which is really a once-in-a-lifetime federal investment, to help build LA back equitably with programs like the Child Care Provider Recovery Grant Program. Investment in our child care providers and the workforce is critical. It allows for affordable, high-quality care and education for our youngest Angelenos, preventing the loss of income for working families, and keeping our trusted small businesses, because that's what child care providers are. They are running community-based small businesses, which truly are the backbone of our economy. I'm proud to be a member of a all-female, mind you, board of supervisors that has dedicated over $30 million to supporting our child care providers, and we're doing it with an equity lens. We developed an investment framework for LA County where we're dedicating the most resources to neighborhoods that were hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. For me, that's just plain common sense. The communities that were disproportionately hit deserve and should be entitled to a disproportionate investment. We have a poster board of the map here highlighting just those areas. This equity framework categorizes neighborhoods into 5 different needs tiers, from highest to lowest. These need tiers were used to ensure an equitable distribution of funding by identifying neighborhoods to prioritize for assistance. You'll notice I didn't say equal, I said equitable. Applications received from child care providers located in the highest need tier neighborhoods will be prioritized ahead of applications received from child care providers located in the remaining need tier neighborhoods. So I'm proud to share that as of the beginning of February, we've received over 3,000 applications from providers from all over LA County. Just in the highest need tier neighborhoods alone, we're projected to disperse over $10 million to child care facilities. There's definitely a need, and we plan to meet it. I want everyone to know that the deadline has been extended to February 28th and that you can apply online to see which tier level your child care facility falls in. Again, and I'm going to need the child care provider network to communicate to your colleagues in the industry about the extension of the deadline, and I'm sure there's technical assistance if needed to help people apply. If not, they can call me, and Emilio and I'll figure it out and work it out. So I'm going to give you the website. I'm glad that the press is here to help us push this information out to apply. Again, you have until the end of this month. So please visit LACountyCPRgrant.submittable.com. That's not an easy one. LACountyCPRgrant.submittable.com to apply and learn more. The CPR grant is just one piece of our larger economic recovery effort. It's easy to apply, and we will have virtual technical assistance to support any providers who wish to apply. So again, thank you to our media partners for helping us get this important information out, because we will only be as successful as the number of people who apply who benefit for this unique opportunity that the federal government has afforded us. So thank you. So enough from me. Let's hear from our esteemed child care provider goddesses who help child care providers improve the quality of the service they provide. They help working parents go to work, go to school with a sense of confidence, because they've been helped to not only pay for child care, but navigate the system. So before I introduce the goddesses, thank you, Lene, I'm going to introduce the king. Don't mess with me. I will weave it back around and act like I was supposed to say that in the first place. So, joining the board 2 years ago, trying to onboard myself as a new board member in the middle of a public health pandemic wasn't easy. And so I, had to meet all the department heads virtually, and we fostered relationships over the last 2 years. And so there are a couple who I deem true partners who kind of understand my North Star in terms of who I'm trying to provide services to in my home district of the 2nd District. And I have to say that the director of the LA County Development Authority is one such partner. Emilio Salas is a department head, and he's responsible for getting this funding to our child care providers. So please welcome Emilio Salas, Executive Director, LA County Development Authority.
I've gotten a new title today. Thank you so much, Supervisor. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As the Supervisor said, I'm Emilio Salas. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the first round of funding in a truncated version, and then I'm going to give a little bit of a longer version in Spanish, if you don't mind, for the Spanish media that is here. But before I begin that, let me just say that the Supervisor is very modest in her passion for childcare. I mean, that was one thing that was very clear to me very early on. When you get briefings, when people start, in office, you get a briefing about the kinds of issues that are important. And this one rose right to the very top when I was briefed about the supervisor's priorities. So I know child care is something very near and dear to her heart, as is equity. And that's why this particular round is so important. So during the first round, we actually deployed $10 million under the CARES Act, and quickly deployed that. To expedite that funding, we had to do a very small window for the application period, which we've got thousands of applications in. And we then had to do it by a lottery system. At that time, we were able to fund a total of 462 child care facilities, 349 of which were home-based. So it was very important. And those received up to $10,000, while the 113 larger centers received up to $40,000. So that money was completely exhausted, but we knew that the need was still there. Now, in the second round, it's being done much differently, with greater intention to the high-need areas. And that's where this particular map comes in, because this map represents, in the second district, the highest tier areas. If you look at the color coding, we are prioritizing, as the supervisor, it's very, very important to her to make sure that the funds go out to the areas that need it the most. So using this tiered approach, we're going to prioritize those child care centers this second time around. And collectively, we look forward to working with our partners at Crystal Stairs, the Mexican American Opportunity Foundation, and community partners to launch this great program. Now, if you will allow me to translate. Mi nombre es Emilio Salas, director ejecutivo de la Autoridad de Desarrollo del Condado de Los Ángeles. Como mencionó la supervisora, nosotros lanzamos el programa primeramente hace varios años y fue bajo CARES Act. En ese tiempo lanzamos un subsidio de $10 millones para el programa de subsidio de proveedores de cuidado infantil bajo la ley CARES. Y para acelerar la financiación, el periodo de solicitud fue abierto durante unas pocas semanas y un breve tiempo. Y en ese tiempo pudimos proporcionar asistencia a 462 operadores de instalaciones infantil. Específicamente los fondos brindaron, good catch. Los fondos brindaron asistencia a 349 hogares familiares y a 113 centros de cuidado. Estos centros recibieron $40,000 y los 349 hogares recibieron $10,000. Esta fue la primera ronda. Y cuando se agotaron los fondos, la segunda vez proporcionamos $20 millones. Y muchos de los proveedores del cuidado infantil del Condado de Los Ángeles, sus instalaciones están ubicadas en los vecindarios más afectados por la pandemia, no pudieron acceder los fondos bajo la primera ronda. Así es que es muy importante que puedan acceder a esta asistencia en esta segunda ronda. Colectivamente esperamos atender las necesidades de los vecindarios del nivel de necesidades más alto y esperamos que el evento de prensa hoy atraiga a los solicitantes de estas comunidades. Gracias, y ahora le voy a devolver a la supervisora Mitchell. Back to you, Supervisor Mitchell.
So I've been very fortunate, really my entire career, to have the privilege of working with very committed, smart people. I'm going to start with my current team, Carolyn Terosis. Now, I may have the bright idea and say we have to help child care providers, but it takes my team who understands how we can go get the money, set this up, and then call Emilio and say we have to make this happen. So thank you, Carolyn. Our overall small business recovery agenda has just been phenomenal, where we've been able to, help small businesses really across the second district, focusing on those in unincorporated. Our big project in Leimert Park, helping black small businesses actually buy their property so they can manage their own rents. I'm very excited about what we've been able to do in just 2 years in terms of supporting small businesses, which child care providers indeed are. Speaking of the people I've had the privilege of working with, so you all have heard me tell the story. I tell it all the time. Great, one of the best jobs I've ever had, leading Crystal Stairs. Sat in a budget subcommittee room one day, heard that the legislature intended to cut $1 billion out of child care, and got mad and decided I needed to run for office because they didn't understand, from my perspective, the working families' need for child care, nor did they understand or respect the role the industry played in terms of particularly LA County's infrastructure, our economy. So ran for office. But before I did that, I went to breakfast on Fairfax with a woman whose reputation preceded her in terms of early care and education. We had a conversation, and I said, I had this idea. I'd like you to come work at Crystal Stairs with me. And then it's very likely that I may be gone in a year or two, and then we could just move you into the CEO position. One of the best ideas I've had in a long time. Jackie Majors, CEO of Crystal Stairs, has taken this community institution into its next generation of leadership, expanding the resource and referral and the payment assistance program, and their years of success there. Beyond, I think, my wildest imagination or that of the two co-founders, frankly. And so it continues to be a preeminent resource for policymakers in understanding the needs of the child care provider industry, and continues to be a preeminent nonprofit organization providing support to child care providers and families so children throughout South LA can thrive. Ms. Majors.
Thank you, Supervisor Mitchell. It's so hard to come up after her, but I've been doing it for 15 years, so you would think I'd be used to it. Welcome, everybody. This is a wonderful day, and I would say a long time coming, but quite frankly, this was a quick project because our goal when we started this project was to get this money in the hands of child care providers as quickly as possible, and I think we did that. So I want to start with some thank yous. Today is nothing but thank yous, quite frankly. But first, Supervisor Holly J. Mitchell. You know, I'm Jackie B. Majors because she's Holly J. Mitchell. You know, I had to have 3 letters in my name. And so she's been such a champion. I think I always say to Holly's staff, we all work for Holly, because where Holly's going, I want to go, because it's always going to end with her helping people, supporting people, and really doing the deep dive of what we need in terms of equity and support for families and children in LA. So you are our champion, and where you go, we go. I also want to thank LA County, LACDA, and community partners. And thank you for bringing Crystal Stairs to the table. It's not often that we come to the table with something like this. And I think everybody in this group had the forethought to let's bring the people to the table that work with providers every day so that we can make this happen in an authentic way. And so we appreciate you letting us into the table and getting my little tiny voice heard. Because I think it made a difference for our providers, because we are working in tandem with providers every day. So it's not my voice, it's my voice really propelling theirs. I also want to thank, and last but not least, is the child care providers. They are the true champions. Our local child care providers showed up and showed out for LA County and, quite frankly, all of California during COVID. For those who didn't know, and I'm a mother with 2 children, I could not have gone to work without child care. Many people don't know that, but they found out during COVID. They found out that whether you're low income, middle income, no income, or high income, you're not going to work if you don't have child care, and you're not working good if you're not feeling confident about that child care. And so I want to thank providers all over LA County for all that you do, and it's time for us to show up for you. And I believe this LACPR grant is one of the things, not one of the first, and definitely not one of the last, but one of the things that we owed you in terms of getting yourselves back together and whole after COVID. There we go. So as CEO of Crystal Stairs, it's been a privilege to partner with local child care providers because we are able to take our 7 programs and services, Crystal Stairs, 42 years old, and we have been in this community as an institution, as Supervisor Holly Mitchell shared, really working hand in hand to make changes, do good work, adjust. It's all a flow, and we continue to do that and work hand in hand with our partners. my main role here today, though, is to not talk, but to bring up one of those amazing partners whose beautiful center we are at today. And I'd love for you to take a look at this center because it's things like this playground equipment that a grant was able to support, at some point. It's things that you wouldn't think of that these providers really need. Many of our providers are family child care providers. When they bought their house, there wasn't a playground there. They have to adapt their homes to be able to serve in a safe way all of our children. And so grants and funding like this is really going a long way in terms of supporting them. So I want to introduce a wonderful partner and provider. I think I've known this child care provider for about 14, almost 15 years as we locked arms and marched and advocated on behalf of children when lots of dollars were cut from child care in 2010. And she has continued to be just a fierce champion for child care, and just has a wonderful quality program and serves as a role model to many providers. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Betty Luckett from the Hart Preschool and Enrichment Center.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. I'd like to say thank you all for coming out to this very important press conference promoting CPR grants, child care providers, recovery grant program. We all know the pandemic hit us hard as providers, and coming out of that has been difficult for all of us. This grant money will help improve our programs, help us continue to provide quality early childhood education and care to our communities. Thank you, Supervisor Holly Mitchell, for always being a staunch supporter of child care providers. We really appreciate that we are in the forefront and that you continue your fight for equitable government. That's what we need, and I know that's your mission. Thank you for making the application process super simple. I'm telling you, 60 seconds and I was done. I mean, I cannot tell you how simple. Thank you, community partners, LACDA, Crystal Stairs, LA County. You guys did it this time. I mean, I didn't need to get up from my desk to find any information. I had it already memorized. Providers, if you have not applied for this grant, please do so. It's only going to take a minute of your time. We want to get out of the hole that the pandemic dug us in, and this is a way out for us. I know your time is precious and you don't have a lot of it, but it's 60 seconds, I promise you. And they've extended the deadline, so if you haven't applied, please do so. We have until February 28th. Don't miss out on this important part. And thank you again to LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell, Crystal Stairs, community partners, and LACDA. We appreciate you, and thank you very much.
Jackie, thank you, because this is a perfect example of the kind of support these kind of grant dollars can make available. It would never occur to us to ask a bakery to stand itself up and not have an oven. And so these are, I certainly learned it as a mother and through Crystal Stairs. Outside play is as important as anything we can provide. So these kind of major infrastructure investments. When was the last time y'all tried to buy a play apparatus this big? When I was at Crystal Stairs, we operated a lending library, and I was always struck by the kinds of things family daycare providers came in to borrow because they didn't have the resources to buy it and have it at their home. So that was a perfect example of why grants like this are so important. So questions of myself or any of the people who have spoken today? I think the takeaway is the website. Ms. Luckett said it took her 1 minute to apply. We've extended the deadline to February 28th. The average grants, Emilio, are for child care centers?
There are up to 80 for the larger, and then 30,000 for the home-based.
So they can range from $15,000 to $80,000 per site, either a child care center or family-based child care. That is phenomenal. I want us to make sure that we set the example in the 2nd District and don't leave a dollar on the table. As I said, this American Rescue Plan federal investment is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is the strange kind of silver lining in the cloud we knew as COVID. So please, every child care provider that has applied, make sure you reach out to 3 more to make sure they know. If you need help, call Betty because she did it in 60 seconds. Don't call me or Emilio. She got it all figured out. And I'm hoping that the website is posted places. There it is in the bottom. Again, CPR grant. I love the CPR because CPR is like we are resuscitating child care provider community. CPR grant at, this is a different website than I gave before. Up top. LA County CPR grant.submittable.com. There are 2 T's in submittable. LA County CPR grant.submittable.com. If there aren't any questions, again, we want to thank all the partners, particularly our media partners, because without you, we can't get the word out, so we want to thank you. Final questions? Spanish language, do you want Emilio to come up and do the 3 takeaways? We're going to do one-on-one interviews. Thank you all for coming out. Have a great, great Friday. Appreciate it.